Are you Jose Vasquez?
Yes.
Mr. Vasquez, you're charged with driving while intoxicated. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, sir.
Yes, Judge.
Okay.
On November 9th,
El 9 de
2024,
noviembre del 2024,
the officer was dispatched in reference to a major crash.
a un choque.
Upon arrival,
Al
the
llegar,
officer observed the
los oficiales
defendant
observaron al
being
acusado,
treated by Houston Fire Department,
el departamento de bomberos
and
de
upon
Houston,
contact with the wheel
tuvieron
witness,
contacto
the
con el
wheel witness
testigo
advised that the defendant
que
was
el acusado
driving
estaba manejando
westbound
hacia el
when he
oeste
struck the median
cuando le pegó
at
al
the
pabellón
intersection.
de la intersección.
The wheel witness observed the
El
defendant
testigo
then
observó
crash into a
que el
street
acusado
sign,
entonces chocó en contra
exit the
de una
vehicle from
señal,
the driver's
salió del
seat,
vehículo por la parte
and the
de
wheel witness saw that the
El
defendant was the sole
conductor
occupant.
y vieron que él era el
Upon
único.
contact with the
Cuando
defendant,
tuvieron contacto
the
con el
officer observed
acusado,
him with
los oficiales
bloodshot,
observaron
glossy
los ojos
eyes,
rojizos,
improper balance,
falta de
and slurred
equilibrio,
speech.
y el habla afectada.
Standard field sobriety tests
Hicieron
were
las pruebas,
attempted.
se trataron,
HGN was unable to be completed.
HN no se pudo completar.
Walk and turn,
Caminar
5 out of
voltear,
8.
5 de
1
8,
leg stand,
una
1 out of
pierna,
4.
1 de
The
4.
DIC was read
Hicieron las
and the defendant
derechos,
consented to
y el
breath,
acusado dio el
but was
permiso para
unable
ver
to
el
follow
aliento,
instructions.
pero no pudo seguir las
Search warrant was
instrucciones.
then signed and
Hicieron
executed.
entonces la orden de registro.
Any prior to WIs?
No, Your Honor.
No.
Okay, and I forgot to ask you, on the gentleman before us, were there any prior to WIs? Did you run an NCIC?
Gentleman before, let me see, Your Honor, I have it still pulled up. No, Your Honor.
Vasquez Ramos,
Señor Vasquez
I'm
Ramos.
going to find that, I'm sorry, Mr. Vasquez Ladrillos, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. What is your immigration status? Are you a citizen of the United States?
No.
What happens if you go to jail?
Ya no voy a volver a hacer.
It's just, I'm not gonna do that again.
I want you to tell me what happens if you go to jail. I want you to think, and I want you to tell me what happens if you go to jail.
¿Qué sucede si usted va a la cárcel?
Es que no puedes, que tengo mi mamá enferma.
It's just that I can because my mother is sick.
I'm going to ask you again, are you in this country with or without permission?
País con o sin permiso. Without permission.
What happens if you go to jail?
Entonces, si usted va a la cárcel,
Ya no voy a volver a tomar.
I'm not gonna drink again.
I'm trying to get you to put 2 and 2 together, Mr. Vasquez. You're not in this country with permission.
En este
If
país,
you go to jail and immigration finds you, they're going to put an immigration detainer on you and you will be stuck in custody for the next 6 to 9 months.
de 6 a 9.
That is what what you have waiting if you go to jail. They sweep the jail every 4 to 6 hours, and if they find you, you will be in there for a very long time. I'm putting conditions on your bond now. If you violate these conditions, I will put you in jail. You were lucky enough to get out one time. You may not be lucky the next time.
Tenga la suerte la próxima vez.
Do you
¿Lo
understand?
entiende?
Sí,
Yes.
You don't have a Texas driver license, do you?
Es verdad.
No.
No.
Then you're not allowed to
No
drive.
se le
And
permite.
I'm making that a condition of your bond.
Haciendo eso como con confianza.
This is an affidavit, which is a promise that you're going to make to me today that you're not going to drive. I don't care what's going on in your life. If there's a burning building and 50 kittens need to be saved, you drive,
Año 5, si usted maneja,
you will be with me.
sí, estará conmigo.
I'm also ordering you as a condition of your bond not to consume alcohol, illegal drugs, or unprescribed controlled medication. I will randomly test you. If I find that you're consuming alcohol or illegal drugs, likewise, you will go to jail. The reason you got out of jail so quick is we gave you a free bond. It's not going to happen again. So if you spend any more than 4 to 6 hours in there, get ready for a detainer.
Prepárese para que lo tenga.
You understand?
¿Entiende?
I will have you come up here, swear test that you're not going to drive. I'll get you to Victoria where you will sign a reset. You will get with Felicia for your bond conditions, and then we will get you out of here to hire a lawyer.
Entonces usted sale de aquí.
Heed this warning because you will not get another one. follow these conditions.
Yes, sir.
Okay, please. You, Michael Todd first.
Sure.
Mr. First, you're charged with driving while intoxicated, second offense. And you're charged with interference with the duties of a public servant. So on the DWI, you're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. On your other case, you're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, sir.
Yes, Judge.
Okay.
On November 7th, 2024, the officer responded to an HEB in Harris County, Texas, in response to a public intoxication call. Upon contact with the defendant, who matched the description given over dispatch, the officer observed the defendant to have bloodshot, glossy eyes, slurred speech, and a strong odor of an alcoholic beverage, and the defendant was extremely unsteady on his feet. The defendant failed to comply, having unprovoked aggression and irritability towards the officers, and refused to answer any and all questions regarding his history and whether the defendant had consumed any alcoholic beverage. Through surveillance footage, the officers observed the defendant drive to the store and was the sole occupant of his motor vehicle, and the witness advised the defendant entered the store appearing to be heavily intoxicated. Due to the defendant's level of intoxication, standard field sobriety tests were unable to be performed. The DIC was read, but the defendant refused. A search warrant was signed and executed despite the defendant's attempt to interfere with the execution of the blood warrant. He resisted the officers and the hospital staff and impeded the phlebotomist from complying with the warrant.
Just telling me that he interfered. DWI okay with the interference? You got to give me more than conclusory statements.
So 3 officers, judge, had to restrain the defendant before the phlebotomist was able to take two vials
Better.
of blood.
Okay.
He disrupted the timeline of the execution. He impeded the phlebotomist from complying with the warrant. He interfered with the peace officer while the peace officer was performing his duty. So judge, it just seems like he was actively resisting the whole time.
Strap him to a gurney, does it say? Do you know?
I'm gonna pull up the OR, judge.
It's not necessary.
Furthermore, it also says that while at the hospital for approximately 5 minutes, the defendant repeatedly pulled away his arm from the phlebotomist and the officers while the phlebotomist was drawing blood.
Okay. All right, Mr. First, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward on both of your cases. I'm ordering you as a condition of your bond not to consume alcohol, illegal drugs, or unprescribed controlled medication. I'm going to randomly test you. If I find that you're consuming alcohol or any illegal drugs, I will put you in jail. You will not get any more PR bonds. Do you have a Texas driver license? Can you run his license, please? And then how many prior DWIs do we have here? Do you have liability insurance in your name?
Currently, yes, sir. But I would.
I don't want to talk about the case at all. I'm just trying to determine whether we should allow you to drive or not.
Well, I have something to say on that. It would be fine with me if you ordered me not to drive. I don't need to drive. I don't have a job.
But I don't know how that'll impact your life. I am going to say this, though. I am ordering you now not to drive any vehicle that doesn't have an ignition interlock on it. So I'm putting a restriction on your license that if you want to drive a vehicle, you're not allowed to unless it has an ignition interlock. Understand, if you drive a vehicle, it doesn't have one, you're in violation of the conditions and we're going to put you in jail.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
Mr. First, if you have a problem with drugs or alcohol, you better take care of it, because if you don't, I'm going to do it for you. And I promise you're not going to like the way that I do it. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
And Your Honor, his license is eligible and he only has 1 prior DWI from 2023 out of Montgomery.
On probation right now?
No, it was a 3-day jail sentence.
Okay. All right. So tell me, what do you do in life? Do you work?
I don't work right now. I'm in the process of filing for disability. I tore up my knee right before Christmas the last year, and it was really bad, and I'm still suffering with it today.
How do you support yourself?
My wife
So you're married?
is.
Okay. So we'll do this. I'll give you an application. Let me see if I have one on file already. I need you to fill out an application for me for an appointed lawyer.
Yes, sir.
So Deputy Reeves will give you an application. I'm going to have you sign a big reset with Victoria. You'll meet with Felicia for your bond conditions, and then we'll just have you take a seat in the jury box while we get all your conditions ready and then find your lawyer.
Fair
Okay,
enough,
sir?
Your Honor.
Okay, please. Tomas Nava. Mr. Nava, you're charged with driving while intoxicated, second offense. We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, sir.
Yes, Judge. On November 8th, 2024, the officer was dispatched in regard to a two-vehicle collision. Upon arrival, the officer observed the defendant's motor vehicle in an 18-wheeler, and upon contact with the witness, the driver of the 18-wheeler, the witness advised the defendant was driving at the time of the collision. Upon contact with the defendant admitted to crashing his motor vehicle into the rear end of the 18-wheeler. The officer observed the defendant with red glassy eyes, slurred speech, and a strong odor of an alcoholic beverage. The officer further observed poor balance, and the defendant was swaying from side to side and was looking to the concrete barrier for support. The defendant admitted to drinking, and standard field sobriety tests were refused. The DIC was read, but the defendant refused. Blood search warrant was signed and executed.
I need you to do me a favor, please.
Yes, Judge.
Does he have any DWIs that are out of county? Can you run a full NCIC on Mr. Nava?
Yes, Judge.
Mr. Nava, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with the case. I'm ordering you as a condition of your bond not to consume alcohol, illegal drugs, or unprescribed controlled medication. I'm going to randomly test you. If I find that you're consuming alcohol, I'm going to put you in jail. You will not get any more bond. No more PR bonds. No more free bonds. I will do everything in my power to protect the county. As far as I know, this is your third here in Harris County. I don't want you to drive. I'm ordering you not to drive. Do you understand? You will be, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
If I find that you drive, I'm going to have a contempt hearing. You'll be facing an additional 6 months in jail and a $500 fine every time you get into a car and drive. And I don't care what your excuse is. You cannot justify getting into a car for any reason.
There are no out-of-county DWIs.
I'm also going to order you to not drive any vehicle that doesn't have a guardian interlock on it. If you're caught driving any vehicle into jail, you'll go, and I'm going to deem you a public danger, and I'm going to make your bond so high you'll have teeth popping out. I'm going to order you to obtain a handheld scram device that you're going to take with you, so I know that you're not consuming alcohol. Do you understand?
Sir.
Judge, you said spring or?
You can get the portable. Yeah, today. I'm going to have you come up here, swear to us that you're not going to drive. I'm going to get you to Victoria. We're going to have you sign a reset. You'll get with Felicia for your bond conditions.
Yes, I got a lawyer, for the
Okay,
next.
just don't consume alcohol for any reason. I don't care what your excuse is, and above all else, don't drive. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Jesus.
Coming up, Mr. Mancias.
Now, if you can recall, this is the one where the complainant basically recanted not only the new assault,
Sure.
but also the first assault as well. And then she also said that she did not see the assault that involved her brother. The allegation that was made from my client then and my client now is that he was actually attacked by her family. And when he called the police, she became upset and she made those statements. The main concern that I have right now is that he cannot go to work with an ankle monitor whatsoever. He works at a high voltage area. I want to work out the case and with the state. I think that based on what I've seen, unless I see something else, I know that there's one case with the brother that I still think that would have to be worked out, and the other two, I think they're kind of tainted at this point.
So the first case is 200 days old, and it's time to put that baby to bed. I get the other two are new, but I'm not going to hold one for the one that's 200 days. I'm not going to hold it for now, another 180 days for the other two.
I'm fine with it. That's, Your Honor, if that's the
So-
case, then I mean, I don't want to put the state in a bad, in a bad situation, but being that she's,
Don't feel bad for the state.
well, I mean, I'm a former state myself, so I always kind of,
So are you ready? Do you have an offer on that case?
On the first day of them, Judge?
Yes.
There are two offers. There's a 6 days Harris County Jail and then a 13-month deferred.
Can you make a global?
I don't feel comfortable doing that, just given this is a case, but I'm happy to.
He was
call him
here
around.
just 2 minutes ago.
He was here, Your
Is he gonna
Honor.
come- You think he can come back?
I'm happy to call him right now and try to get him in here.
Let's see if he can come back and just let him know that we would just like a global offer. I mean, that's ultimately what we want to do. And at the most, we'll give you maybe 2 weeks to kind of settle up, but it's time to put up or shut up, man. I'm not, just because you pick up 2 new assault cases, I'm not going to give you more time on the first one. It's 200 days. It's time to either go to trial or you got to accept something. Perhaps they're ready to make a global offer so we resolve everything. I don't know. But if not, we still got to take care of this case. I'm not going to give you more time on it. You understand?
Yes, sir.
It's your responsibility to stay in touch with Judge Hatton. He'll tell you when you got to come back to court. I'm not taking your ankle monitor off. I don't want you to go anywhere near these people, not until we know what's going to happen. Actions have consequences. You have 3 open assault cases. I'm not going to there's 2 sides to the story, but I don't know their side.
I understand.
And so until I know everything at one time, then, if they were to say something that might be different, but I'm not taking your word for anything. And it's not just you, it's every person that would come here. I'm not going to take anybody's word, the evidence is going to tell us to whose side is correct. That's what we need to see what's going on.
Yes, sir.
And should be pretty quick because your case is now 200 days old. All right. So let's wait for DVD. Perhaps we can work out a global resolution. If not, we'll give it a couple weeks and then we'll come back and then, yeah,
okay, Judge.
thanks.
May he sit in,
Yes, of course.
All right, Judge, next is page